There we go.
All right, so we can shoot the shit for a bit. I'm gonna just check on YouTube that we're live. Okay, you can load it. We're good. Okay, so I can close that. I accidentally closed my thing that I actually need. Krampus. Oh,
Oh, 3 people.
we can shoot the shit for a few minutes. Let people show up. So let's see. I've gotten not quite half of AJ's advent calendar and the stockings full. How are you doing?
How are you guys doing?
How are you doing, AJ?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm about halfway through the Advent and
I gotta move this.
almost got
so that we're getting close.
Yeah.
Getting close. There you go.
So.
Oh god, we're both wearing red shirts. We're matching. We're going to Punk Rock Market tomorrow, so that's cool. I was able to save up enough to spend at both markets. I just had to pull in the savings to pay our business license. So Parasornium is officially business for another year. Woo!
Yes.
What else? It's been pretty good. We just want to send out all of our we hope that everyone is doing okay. I know, and I think it's Manitoba, Saskatchewan, BC, Washington, Oregon, Montana, Idaho.
Yes.
Is all flooded. So I hope everyone's okay. I hope you're all getting the help you need. We hope that the waters recede soon and the damage isn't that bad. We hope everyone's safe.
Yep. It's been a rough
yeah, and
go,
it just has
guys.
not stopped raining. It has not stopped raining. So we hope
been
everyone's
pouring here
safe.
all day.
So
except for when we went out early.
Okay, so it's 6. So all right. So today we're going to be talking about Krampus and then we're going to be telling some Christmas stories because there's not a lot to Krampus. He's not very complicated. I'm just going to turn off. I can see the reflection of the TV in my glass. There we go. Yeah, so we hope everyone's having a good holidays, whatever you celebrate. Yeah, is there anything you want to say?
Well, with Krampus, we went to the Krampus Mart.
Yes, we did. That was great.
It was a success.
It was really good. So if you're in Victoria and you didn't go this year, make sure you go.
Yes.
The person who runs Babushka Botanicals was the one who ran the market. So shout out. Thank you for doing that. That's awesome. Like, it was so much fun, such good vibes. Krampus was a sweetheart.
Yes.
So thank you for showing up in that hot costume and taking pictures with all of us. They've already secured the date. So next year on December 5th on actual Krampus Knot will be Krampus Market. It's $5 at the door. You're helping helping $5 per person. You're helping local vendors. Apparently, Fernwood, you killed it. Everyone made good money.
Yeah.
So that was awesome. I can't wait for the Punk Rock Market. It's tomorrow at the Da Vinci Center, I think. It's in the Squamalt. $5 at the door, but you're helping local vendors. So I only had to buy one gift at the grocery store. And then some like stocking stuffers that was like food. So everybody else, it was local or Canadian products.
Yeah. The markets, they had a mixture of wares. A lot of them were
the Krampus
single market.
The Krampus market was definitely for us switchy people and alternative people and goth, punk, metalhead. Love it. I love that Christmas is being less about commercial and like the atypical Christmas stuff, and now it's more like there's a holiday for everyone. You can be like, we have a black Yule tree. So, I mean,
Yeah.
I did have to buy that from a store because our stores just sell, the atypical. So I had to buy it on Amazon. But still,
I'll post a picture of our Yule tree on the channel as well, so you guys can see it.
Yeah.
Oddly, at Walmart today, we found some really cool little decorations.
Oh, I have one here. So these guys are actually going to be permanently in the house all the time. And they're like, we pay less than $1. So I know like they're manufactured.
They're little alien dudes.
So I'm going to find a place for them. So, here. There's another one here. Oh, they're all three here. So here's the other one we got. He also got a spaceman, but the spaceman is on the tree. These guys are going. They're going to be somewhere in the house, so that's very cute. All right, so should we talk about Krampus?
We can hop right into Krampus.
So Krampus is this from Britannica. He's a half goat, half demon monster that punishes misbehaving children at Christmas. He's actually a companion to Saint Nick. So him and Saint Nick travel together. It comes from the German word Krampen or claw. We can only track his origins back to about the 16th century. And then we really can't. I think I read somewhere something even in the 1500s, but before that, we really can't historically track him. So it's possibly he comes from pagan origins, and very likely, but we don't know where his origins come from. So he's the Krampus that we know is a little bit more of a modern thing.
Yes.
Krampusnacht is on December 5th. There's usually a parade. I'm sure you've seen all kinds of videos. And he arrives with Saint Nick, and he wakes up. And so the kids on December 6th, not December 25th, December 6th, they either wake up sore because they were beaten by Krampus, or they wake up with gifts. And so,
it's a little bit dark.
So he was paired with Saint Nick around the 17th century. In Austria, after the 1932 election of Austrian dictator Engelbert Dollfuss, he was banned. In the 1950s, they passed out pamphlets that were titled "Krampus is an Evil Man" and claimed it would damage children's mental health. But since then, they've slowly taken back Krampus, and now it's spread all over the world. The original stories used to say that children would be dragged to hell or put in this bag and taken away.
There's all kinds of movies about that.
One of the possible origins for him, and I apologize, I forgot to look up the pronunciation, so I'm going to mispronounce this, is Percht. Percht. And he could be one of the origins. It is a two-legged humanoid with a giraffe-like neck and wearing animal furs, and is devilish. People would wear costumes and march in processions just like Krampus. And the church tried to ban it, but it was an alpine region that was a little bit rural, a little bit rugged. So it was very hard to enforce it. So the tradition never died. In Styria, which is a small Austrian state, Krampus's bundles of sticks are painted gold and stay in the house all year round to remind children to behave. And then in some smaller villages, I found this really interesting. A wild antler man accompanies Krampus, and there's no Saint Nick. So I thought that was interesting. So I feel like Krampus definitely has some Wild Hunt origins, some solstice origins, but he's not very deep. It's just they go around and whip people with birch bushes, I think.
Basically the same as what you use when you're doing a traditional
and it's
Sauna.
It's not any more traumatizing to kids than Saint Nick is. I think kids scream more with Saint Nick than they do with Krampus. So
Think of Halloween at Christmas.
the oh, excuse me. We were third in line at this point in Krampus, and a mom brought her little child, maybe 2, maybe 3 years old, and she was smiling. She loved her Krampus photo. It was so nice. It was great. She loved it. So kids are not any more scared of Krampus than of Saint Nick. And like, as a millennial, I grew up with far scarier things than
in reality. I think they're more scared of Saint Nick than they are.
Saint Nick is a little creepy if you listen to the music. Like, he knows when you're sleeping, he knows when you're awake. Like, that's all very
very creepy.
So yeah, so that's pretty much it for Krampus. Not too much.
Well, it's a Scandinavian tradition, so it may not have been passed to us as readily because, well, this is...
Well, everyone was afraid of him because he was like, oh, this demon thing, is this really traumatizing for kids? And it's like, it's fine. It's fine for kids to be a little scared. Like,
you teach kids to be scared of crossing the street.
Yeah.
So it's about the same thing as that. You teach them to respect nature, respect basically everything of worth in this case, which is life, family, that sort of thing.
Yeah, we love Krampus. As far as Krampus bells, there isn't any folklore on them, so I think that's just a modern thing meant to represent Krampus. But there was nothing in the history books. Like, nothing ever mentioned bells except that he has bells and chains on him to show his connection to the church. So that seems to be like some kind of thing that ties him to the Christianity.
I think that has a lot to do with the whole Harlequin.
I don't know. There was nothing in the folklore, so I'm not going to make any assumptions because I'm not of that tradition. So
if you guys don't know what Harlequin are, it's not the MCU DC Harley Quinn of the comics. It's Harlequin are basically jesters with little maces, and they go around and whack.
Yeah, there was nothing about that.
Whack sinners.
There was nothing about that, so it doesn't have anything to do with that. So
well,
it more than likely it has to do. It's some connection with the Fae.
Yeah,
that's been lost. So he could have been a troll, some kind of troll, a hairy troll, because that's very big in that area. Well, but again, there are people who are smarter than me that do this for a living that can't find any direct historical links. So
this the bells, talking about the Fae and bells, there is a little troll that would wear a belled hat.
Yeah, but again, the historians can't find any links. So
yeah, it's folklore.
He comes from beyond the 15th and 16th century. We don't know where he comes from. We're guessing. So his origins are lost to the fog of time. So yeah, so Krampus is fun. I think it's important because
there's always a balance.
Yeah, like, it's not like you don't have. There's something about having a dark and a light and teaching kids about that, right? You know, I don't know. And like, I always laughed when they said, "Oh, well, you might get coal in your stocking if you aren't good." And I always think back, like, you know, in the 1800s, I'm sure a kid was happy to get coal in a stocking because coal was expensive and it keep the house warm. So I was always like, what?
And the further back you go, the more it was a trade item. It was
Yeah.
used. They
So
would
I thought that
carve.
was
They would make
always
carvings out of
I
coal.
thought that was always a weird threat. I was like in modern times, yeah, it would suck, but also like my parents saying charcoal was still and coal was still not cheap. So like why would you give a kid a piece of coal?
It's just to say, oh, you're bad.
Yeah,
You
it was
don't get
probably just
a
some wealthy
present.
person that started that idea. Like with Krampus, they just would wake up sore without gifts, and I'm like,
Yeah.
that makes far more sense
Yeah.
than here's a piece of coal. Like,
It was some sort of sanitization of that.
yeah,
lore.
because you gotta sanitize everything for kids now.
This
No,
time
no, we're not gonna.
no, this time of year is for shadow work. It's for
Well, the thing is we're pagan, and so the winter time is far more shadowed for us.
Yeah.
It's a shadowy time. But that doesn't make it scary. So like the shadows are about, so you would build these bonfires and you would gather with your neighbors and have these feasts and you would laugh loud and you would ring bells and scare the shadows away. So like, everyone think, oh, it's shadow and it's doom and it's scary. And it's like in wintertime used to be a terrifying time. It was literally life and death. And so you have these people like Krampus, this is part of our life, but then you would have these feasts and these bonfires and bells, and you bring in foliage into your house. Like we had these traditions because they gave us hope and they brought us together, and then they chased the shadows away. And so I think we've lost that in our comfort. And there's something just so shallow about losing the darkness. It makes Christmas much more shallow. Or Yule. We say Christmas a lot because we grew up with that, but we celebrate Yule.
Yeah.
And we welcome all celebrations, even Festivus. If you want to make up a new winter tradition, do it. There are no rules. You're an adult. Do what you want.
Yeah.
Even if you're a kid, do what you want. Make up a holiday.
Yeah. Look at Wolfennut.
Yeah.
Wolfennut.
Yeah. So, yeah. So, yeah, we love Krampus.
Hi guys. Thank you for joining us.
We're really hoping that Krampus really kicks. I'm going to make sure no matter where I work, I'm going to say December 5th. I can either come in late to work or I can't work. Like I'm just wherever I go, because I want to support Krampus Market because I really want a Krampus knot, and I think
we could have a full parade.
It was so much more of a celebration of Yule, and I think that other traditions besides Christmas need to be celebrated. Like I think there is a Kwanzaa market later after Christmas.
Cool.
We can't go because our paychecks don't line up, but. Yeah, I want to see more of a celebration. So
for Krampus knot, it's
going to be really hard
to
convince our mayor and the counselors to prove that, because they are they are these boring.
But if they add it to the Santa Claus parade,
they're
it would
definitely not going to be. You can't have Krampus not around Santa Claus parade.
Well, they're connected.
They want a postcard version of Victoria. They don't want an actual Victoria for everybody.
Hopefully, one day.
Support Krampus Market so we can have Krampus knot.
It's. For me,
I mean, we are kind of an alpine region too. We're a rainforest, but we have fir trees.
Yeah, we have fir trees. We have
red cedar, but it's different than the Ozarks when I learned that. Yeah. So we have proper red cedar. In the Ozarks, they have something that it's called cedar, but it's not. For Christmas traditions, what we do, and this lovely woman on TikTok, I forgot her name. She's like, Americans don't do Christmas crackers. And she was like, you can make your own. And I was like, oh, yeah. So next year I'm going to
We're gonna
look
make
at
our own.
make our own Christmas crackers because the ones here are filled with landfill junk.
Yeah.
Maybe if you're lucky, you can get stuff with like stainless steel, but it's like you get one dice and a pen that kind of works, and like a screwdriver that's like the free ones that you get when you buy furniture. And it's just like, can you just put candy in them?
Yeah.
So we'll put like we'll go to the bulk barn or do something and get like candy that we normally don't buy, and so it's exciting and put it in there. But we have we have an advent calendar that we're gonna start either tomorrow or the day after, and we get one little gift, and then on December 25th we open our stockings, and then I have to look up my calendar on my phone. We're gonna start the 13 wishes. I have it set on my phone so that the last wish is on
The first
of January. Yeah, and we're gonna go to. I'm qualified to work for the library now, but they're offering 30 hours, so I'm keeping an eye for less than 30 hours. So if you work for Greater Victoria Library, I could definitely use a 20 to 24 hour position. Please post it. I just can't do 30 hours because a lot of my teachers are super awesome.
But some really...
Hi, Adam!
Hi, Adam!
Oh my God, Adam's here. How was grocery shopping? I hope it was super chill. I hope it wasn't like incredibly busy after working all day. It's the worst. You have to work and then you go to the grocery store and it's Christmas and it's just you go inside and it's just like a madness and you're like, it was sure not chill. Oh, I'm sorry, Adam. Oh man. It was crazy when we went, but it was getting crazier as we left.
Yeah.
And we were smart. We did a big shop and we split the bill, so it wasn't too bad. And then so the next week when it's insane, we just have to get like maybe some snacking fruit, some fresh veg, just real small.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's smart to try and do your staples shop a week or so out so that you don't need to get that stuff during the Christmas week because it's insane.
And people are grumpy. Yesterday I had to get a little bit of I had to get one thing for AJ that I couldn't get from local vendors. Oh my God, you couldn't find a spot? Oh no. That is the worst. That might be a blessing in disguise though, because if Walmart's that busy, I can only imagine what those lineups are like.
Mm-hmm.
2 Walmarts. Oh my God.
Oh boy.
God, that's awful. But so I had to do a little bit of shopping and I went into the mall and it was super chill. Everyone was nice. And then I went to go pick up meds at the grocery store. And my first 3 minutes in the grocery store, I almost got ran over 3 times by people who were just Zoom walking and not looking. And one woman's in this little walker and then she looks at me and I'm like, lady, I stopped. Like you kept coming. Like, oh, yeah. We call Walmart Hellmart here. So yeah, that's our nickname for it.
Yeah, it's either Wally World or Hellmart.
Yeah, I hope I got your message about the storms. I hope there isn't too much damage and your flowers and all of your beautiful backyard stuff is okay, Adam.
I wonder if someone could do like a Krampus fundraising thing at the entrance to Walmart.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
As they're going in, be good. have your switch with
you have you have no idea how bad I want to set up like a light display at Adam's place with music to drive his neighbor nuts. And a big outdoor heater.
Completely with you.
That sounds expensive, so I'm very sorry, but that's a good thing that it's the only thing you lost. Yeah, they had
Yes.
right after we had our storm, Utah had a big storm.
it's
Yeah, it's just
it's a hard season this year for storms. If
and see here, I was thinking the winter's almanac was like, oh, you're gonna have a wet winter, but it's not
it's
gonna
a
be a lot
super
of.
wet winter,
Yeah,
it's
it's like
insane.
yeah, no, it's not mild. All right, so should I start?
Get into some
Okay,
spooky stories.
well,
What's the book that you?
so this is
Spooky
it
Christmas.
says spooky Christmas and other haunted holidays, but it's all Christmas. So I don't know what other haunted holidays it thinks it is. I think it's because what he's trying to do is not everything is Christmas. Like there's one Hanukkah story, so I think it's spooky holidays.
Spooky
But I bet you
holiday.
his publisher was like, you need to say Christmas or people are not going to know what it is. So
Yeah.
All right. So what's this first one? Okay, so this one. So these stories, he does have a bibliography. So they I think they come from folklore, possibly true stories, but I'm gonna say this is more folklore, less true, but they're Christmas stories. So this one's called The Wild Hunt, and it's from Littleton, New Hampshire. Our maternal grandmother lived in the White Mountains of New Hampshire near the top of one of the highest peaks. It was a strange, magical place. When I was little, my parents would send my brother and I to stay with their grandmother for the summer. It was during these holidays that I discovered that elves and trolls and many other beings inhabited the forests and meadows. Any path you took could lead to a small miracle or at least a whole lot of trouble. My grandmother told me not everyone could see the supernatural world, and I was not to speak of what I saw to anyone else. I didn't believe her, but then I tried discussing the magical creatures with some of the village children, and they laughed at me. They called me the girl who really believes in fairies. Their mockery stung, and I ran away to cry alone in my favorite spot by the stream. I spent the rest of the summer holiday playing with my younger brother and avoiding the neighborhood children. I never again spoke of the supernatural to the villagers. Lesson learned. 2 summers later, I was wandering the streets of the small town, watching the antics of several small fae who were playing tag in and out of the sunbeams when an adorable puppy with a white blaze on its forehead trotted past me and turned into a crooked lane I had never seen before. It popped its little head around the corner and barked once at me before disappearing back into the lane. And then I'm going to show this beautiful artwork that's in this book. This is a really fun book. Oh, there we go. So there's beautiful artwork. Curious, I followed the puppy through several twists and turns until I came to a long wooden house that backed upon a dense forest. I'd never seen anywhere like it on the mountain. Oh, by the way, forgot trigger warning. There's a little bit of a domestic abuse and a little bit of violence towards puppies, but it ends on a happy note. So curious, I followed the puppy through several twists and turns until I came to a long wooden house that backed upon a dense forest. I'd never seen anywhere like it on the mountain, and the tall man in the sweeping hat and cloak who stood in the yard with his hand on the bridle of a splendid white horse was a stranger to me. I'd visited this village every summer since I was a babe and thought I knew everyone in it, so this was a surprise. The hat brim shadowed the man's face so I couldn't properly see his eyes as he looked me over. The puppy gamboled around him and then trotted back to dance around me. Do you like dogs, Leia? Leia, the man asked. I was surprised that he knew my name, but then again, he would have seen me every summer, even if I never before noticed him. I do, I confirmed shyly, but my new stepfather won't let me have one. He accidentally shot our father's hound last winter. I wasn't so sure it was an accident. Our stepfather had done everything he could to erase my papa's presence from our household, and killing his faithful hound seemed part and parcel of this initiative. Something in my face and voice tipped the man off. His aura darkened. He replied, I am sorry to hear that. My condolences on the loss of your father and of his hound. Thank you, I said, fighting tears. I missed my papa terribly, and my mother had become a stranger since she married my stepfather. It is solstice, and I am hunting today, the man said. This pup is too small to come with us. Would you watch over him until I return? My heart lifted, and I felt a huge smile cross my face. It would be my honor, I exclaimed. He scooped up the puppy and placed him in my arms. Then he mounted his horse and gave a shrill whistle. At once, hunting hounds of all shapes and sizes came lopping into the yard from the forest, yelping and baying and barking in delight. The whole yard was full of them. I couldn't get an accurate count, for they seemed to drift in and out of focus. The ones in the rear were so misty they might not have been real. Fare you well, Leia, the hunter called over the noise of the dogs. He flicked the reins, and his horse leapt into the air and galloped up into the sky, followed by a swarm of baying hounds. The whole world seemed to whirl about me. When my head cleared, I was standing outside the confectioner shop, holding a squirming puppy. I scratched the white blaze on his forehead and raced for my grandmother's house, not quite sure how to explain what had just happened to me. But explanations were unnecessary. Grandmother took one look at the pup in my arms and nodded in understanding. Not everyone is trusted with such a task, she said. Best make the pup a bed beside the fire. He will be with us for a while. My little brother trotted in and exclaimed excitedly over the puppy. He had been devastated when Papa's hound died. The two were soon rolling on the floor while Grandmother and I started supper. Their antics kept us laughing all evening. Late on the third night after the pup came to stay, I was wakened by the sound like a flock of geese flying over the house. Moments later, someone knocked on my grandmother's door. I slid down the ladder from the loft and glanced at my grandmother, who was standing by the fireplace. It is for you, she said. I nodded and lifted the puppy from his basket. Then I opened the door, cradling the sleepy ball of fur in my arms. The hunter stood before me in his rough tunic and wide-brimmed hat. Behind him, the white horse nosed a patch of peppermint, and the hounds sniffed and rolled and bumped one another in glee. As soon as the pup saw the hunter, he wiggled in delight until I could hardly hold him. I saw the hunter's flashing grin as he reached out and accepted the little dog for me. Thank you, Leia, he said. A sob caught suddenly in my throat. Thank you, I whispered, knowing he would understand what I meant. I missed my papa so much. I missed his faithful hound. I missed my former happy life, but I had no words to express all those feelings. We will meet again, the hunter said. His tone was so kind that I had to wipe tears from my eyes as he turned away and mounted the white horse. A moment later, hounds and hunter trotted into the sky, headed home. It was traditional for our family to spend the 12 days of Christmas with our paternal grandmother in her mountain home, but this year my stepfather would not allow it. He had been glad to be rid of my brother and I for the whole summer when he and my mother first married, but his attitude changed when we returned for school in the fall, and he realized how useful we were around the house. Too useful, as it turned out. He dismissed the maid, groom, and cook that served our family my whole life and assigned their tasks to myself and my brother. The workload was so difficult that we were rapidly falling behind in our studies at school. Excuse me. Worst of all, our mother did not protest or complain at this change in our household. It took me several weeks to realize that my mother was under some kind of spell, and the magician who cast it upon her was my new stepfather. In my defense, I was so grief-stricken after the death of my papa that I was in no condition to evaluate a potential enemy, particularly one that was sprung so suddenly upon us just a few meager months after our father passed. If my stepfather was a magician, and if he put my mother under spell, it would explain why she'd married him so suddenly after such a short acquaintance, and why she no longer seemed to care what happened to her children or the possession of her first husband. A heart-thumping exploration of my stepfather's locked workshop, with my younger brother standing watch, quickly proved this theory, but did not provide the means for remedying the situation. So I wrote a letter to my grandmother asking for advice, and my brother smuggled it out to the post for me while he was out running errands. On Christmas night, my stepfather and mother were relaxing the parlor after dinner while my brother and I cleaned up when a loud honking and braying sound erupted over our community. My stepfather swore and leapt to his feet. What in blazes is causing that noise? Can't a man enjoy his Christmas holiday in peace? My brother ran to the front door and flung it wide, looking up into the sky for the source of the sound. Suddenly, a large hound with the white blaze on his forehead trotted through the open portal, nudged me and my brother in a friendly manner, and went to lie down in the warmest spot beside the fire. Excuse me.
Did you need another drink?
Yeah, I will. Very dry. My stepfather swore and shouted at the dog, then shouted at my brother. I don't know where he came from, my brother protested. He just appeared in the porch when I opened the door. The honking and braying sounds faded in the distance as my stepfather roared out his anger. By the time my mother interceded, the wild hunt was long gone. Calmly, she said, Close the door, Leia. It is getting cold. Why don't you pour all of us some tea and cut more of that Christmas cake? A little for refreshment will help us all feel better. Abe, go finish decorating the carriage. We will be making holiday calls over the next few days, and we want to look our best. My brother and I obeyed her at once. It was the first time Mama had called either of us by name since we returned from our summer holiday. It was almost as if the presence of the dog had weakened the spell on her. As we went through our assigned tasks, my stepfather tried to drag the hound out of the house. The dog refused to budge. I watched through the kitchen door as he tugged at the dog's neck and shoulders and legs. I was almost positive that the hound made himself heavier each time my stepfather pulled at him. There was a soft green glow at the edges of his fur and a spark of red in his eyes. My stepfather swore and picked up the fireplace poker. He tried to hit the dog with it, but somehow he missed it every time. The dog vanished and reappeared in an instant, a few inches away from the place where my stepfather was swatting. Give it up, George, my mother advised, not taking her eyes off her knitting. It's Christmas. Someone gave us a new dog, and it would behoove us to accept the gift with grace. My stepfather stomped over to his chair and sat down with a bang. I quickly brought in a tray with Christmas cake and passed refreshments to my mother and stepfather. When my stepfather's face was safely behind the newspaper, I rubbed my pup on his blaze and gave him a piece of Christmas cake. Good boy, I whispered. Over the next few days, my stepfather did his best to get rid of our new hound. On St. Stephen's Day, he tried to run the beast over with the carriage while we made holiday calls on our friends and neighbors. On the feast of St. John, his gun accidentally went off in the direction of the dog while he was cleaning it in the garden shed. Instead of wounding the dog, the bullet killed the prize rooster my stepfather had purchased to improve the quality of his livestock. On New Year's Eve, my stepfather knocked the dog into the well and slammed down the lid. As he turned away in triumph, the dog reappeared right in front of him and shook himself, showering my stepfather with cold water. On the feast of St. Basil the Great, my stepfather put a rope around the dog's neck, hoping to throttle him. Instead, the beast used the rope to drag my stepfather through every mud puddle and dirty snowbank in the yard before depositing him into the manure pile at the back of the barn. As the 12 days of Christmas progressed, my mother slowly returned to normal. Her moments of lucidity were more frequent, her forgiving attitude toward my stepfather waned, and her remarks became pointed and much drier. After dinner on Epiphany, Mama appeared in the kitchen and asked me if the cook was on holiday. No, Mama, stepfather fired her in September, remember? I replied, scrubbing industriously at a dirty pot so I wouldn't have to see the look on her face. I do not remember, Mama said, her voice strained. I seem to have forgotten a lot of things lately. Who has been doing all the cooking since then? I have, Mama, I said, carefully drying the pot with a cloth. That's what I thought, she said grimly. Our hound appeared in the kitchen door. He nosed Mama's hand as she marched past him and out the door. Then he came over and sat on my foot. Here you go, my cheeky beggar, I said, feeding him a meat roll and rubbing the blaze on his forehead. He swallowed it whole, reared up to lick my cheek, then nudged open the back door with the nose and trotted outside to beg for a second snack from my gullible brother, who was chopping wood. A moment later, I heard Mama shouting in the barn. I couldn't make out the words, but I knew from her tone that someone was in trouble. I threw down my dishcloth and ran as fast as I could toward the sound. My brother raced over from the woodpile, and together we burst in the barn to see what was going on. Mama and her stepfather were shouting at one another in the center aisle. You fired my servants and enslaved my children because you love me? Mama roared. That's not love. That's selfishness and greed and lust. Shut your mouth, woman, shouted my stepfather. He pulled a wand out of his pocket and pointed at her. Suddenly, my mother could no longer speak. Her lips moved, but no sound came out. As for you brats, I've had enough of you two, he cried, aiming his wand at us. I gasped and threw myself in front of my younger brother, trying to protect him from whatever spell our evil stepfather wanted to put on us. At that same moment, I saw the star-blazed hound trot through the back door of the barn. With each step, he was gaining height and bulk until he was larger than my stepfather's prized horses. As my stepfather uttered the first words of the spell, the enormous hound swatted him to the floor and with one paw, and then sat down in a sprawled figure. The spell on my mother broke at once. She gasped for breath and then grabbed us in her arms. I pulled away just long enough to seize my stepfather's wand so he couldn't use it against us. Above our heads, I heard baying and yipping sounds as if 1,000 geese were migrating overhead. Suddenly, the barn was swarming from end to end with enormous red-eyed hunting hounds. It was the 12th night, and the wild hunt had arrived just in time. The milling dogs parted to allow White Horse and his rider to trot through the double doors. When the hunter saw the star-blazed hound sitting on my stepfather, he smiled. Well done, he said. The star-blazed hound stood up and picked up my stepfather by the back of his shirt, scruffing him as if he were a naughty puppy. You won't get away with this, my stepfather howled, glaring at the hunter. Your time is up, the hunter replied coldly. You have forfeited your life and your eternity. From now on, you will hunt with me. Before our eyes, my stepfather shrank rapidly, transforming into a red-eyed puppy with a wand-shaped marking across his little shoulders. The tiny pup yapped at the hunter, then crouched down to whittle on the floor. Come, we must circle the whole world before dawn. The hunter blew his horn to indicate they were moving off. The hounds bayed and streamed out of our barn, trotting quickly up into the sky, the new puppy in their midst. My star-blazed hound wagged his entire back in excitement. He licked each of us before following his master on the white horse. Your hound will be back tomorrow, Leia, the master of the wild hunt called to me, and I will see you next summer. Then he galloped his white steed up into the sky, sounding the hunting horn once more as the wild hunt set off on their annual 12th night ride to punish evildoers and gather up the dead.
That's awesome. That's an awesome story. I loved it.
Yeah, I bought this book in Kentucky and I haven't read it. So we didn't read this last year. So.
No, it was a cool story.
Yeah.
The wild hunt told it as a Christmas tale. It kind of the end where he flies up into the air. That's Santa Claus. That's where Santa Claus.
I wonder. I don't know. It's New Hampshire, and I knew New Hampshire was like it. There is like forest, but I don't know enough about the people. So I really
it's part of the Appalachian Range.
So yeah.
So
that was really
that's cool.
Yeah, I read that and I was like, oh my god, I got to read this. So. I never heard of the Wild Hunt in the 12 days of Christmas, so I'm definitely going to look up into that. So,
well, the wild folklore, the dogs are hounds.
They're hunt hounds. Yeah,
they have green flame eyes and tongues.
And you think of New Hampshire, some of the people from the old world came over. So
yeah. So that's a cool story.
Did you want to read the next one? It's got German. No? Okay, you want me to do it. Okay, can you get me another drink first? Yes. Give me some water. This is making me burp.
Just plain water?
Yeah. Oh, bubbly. It doesn't make me burp as much as Coke. I hope you got all your Christmas shopping done, Adam. we're gonna finish ours tomorrow. We did all markets. He only got one commercial gift and some snacks at the store. Yeah. Everything else is from local vendors. No, I lied. Some of your stuff is from our we have a craft thrift store here.
Yes.
And it's pretty close. So that's good. You're almost done. Not like these people who wait till last minute and then freak out.
Don't wait until the 23rd and then go shopping.
But we have this thrift store by us, and I can't remember the name of it. Like, I know where it is, and I know where to go, but, like, I never pay attention to the name. But if you're in Victoria, it's in Market Square downstairs, and it's, like, this thrift store for all kinds of craft stuffs, and they have, like, lightly used, oh, I know. Oh, my God, Adam, when you get paid on Christmas Eve, that is the worst.
That's the worst.
That is the worst. There was one time on Christmas Eve, and I think we both had it off or something, and we had to go Christmas shopping on Christmas Eve, and we went to the mall, and it was like the worst thing ever. Oh,
it was rough.
If you visited that on your cruise, oh, I don't know, maybe. Oh, yeah, God. That is the worst. I hate when you get paid right before Christmas. It's the worst. So, but anyways, at this thrift store craft place, they have, like, partially used canvases, and then they have partially used, like, oil paints and acrylic paints, and then they got little, like miniature pieces, like, that, like, and
she has a museum. The back of where she does her checkouts and that, she has a little pile of little figurines and different things that because she deals with a lot of local people, but also with some of the travelers and homeless people will come in and trade with her for money. And so she has these little trinkets that, like, one time a homeless guy came in and handed her a raven and said, "Here, I want you to have this."
Yeah.
And he didn't want anything for it, but he wanted her to have it because she helps the community.
Yeah, so we go in there because, like, with me going to university, it's like it's the one thing I can still afford. So we go in there once every 3-4 months. So I was like, and then we've been struggling to get, like, small gifts because, like, even at the market they were all big, and I was like, why didn't I think of this place? So we fill because our advent calendar has tiny pockets. So yeah, so we were able to fill that. And it's great because it's you can reuse stuff, and, like, there's a lot of stuff that sits there because, like, they have, like, lots of, like, random playing cards and paper and stuff. But I love that they reuse that stuff. So I wish I knew about it in 2020. I don't know if they were open then when I was getting rid of all my craft stuff that I had piled up. God.
When we have a build up, we'll have to take her some.
Well, I don't shop at Michael's and the dollar store like I used to because it's just gone downhill. So
yeah.
Oh my God, I don't know if you went into Michael's this year, Adam, but, like, how expensive it was for the crap that they were selling, the landfill crap. Like, one woman did a TikTok where it was just these stupid felt trees that, like, styrofoam that they had, like, put velvet on it. It was $50. 50
Why?
Canadian.
Why?
Oh God. Yeah. Michael's has really gone downhill, but unfortunately Walmart gutted their embroidery section. So now if I can't get something from Million of Stitches, which is a company that I don't know if they're Canadian, but they do offer me free shipping occasionally. So I have to go for them sometimes for embroidery stuff, but man, garbage, landfill garbage. That's all it is now.
Well,
Like,
it's commercialism without a conscience.
yeah, and like I didn't even have to go into like Home Sense, which I think is like Home Goods and that stuff, because other people on like social media were going in and were like, "Look at this landfill garbage, $80." Like,
Yeah.
so bad. Yeah, we're
So we just
making.
order stuff online or go
I
to the
actually
little
went to the
places that we
dollar
like.
store, and so at the dollar store, I was able to get a packet of plastic clear
Christmas.
Christmas ornaments that you can do anything with. I got 2 little miniature nutcrackers that we need to finish.
Yes.
I got some wooden Christmas ornament things that you can paint. And then today at Walmart, there's a wooden tree that's 3-dimensional, so I'm just gonna paint that. So I'm actually, yeah, Michael sucks. Okay, so I checked. There's no Utah Christmas story in this. Sorry, Adam. I was gonna pull one out, but okay. So this one, there's a lot of German, and I'm gonna mispronounce it because I forgot to look up the pronunciation. So I apologize to any Germans who are listening or anybody from Wisconsin who speaks German. I'm very sorry. I'm gonna butcher this. So this is called the Kobold Toy Maker, and it's from.
This is for Vincent.
Oh yeah, when I saw Wisconsin, but I thought this was just a very sweet, sweet Christmas story. This is very lovely, and like I stopped giving Christmas gifts because I found out like I don't think my family and some people were appreciating. I make Christmas gifts. I don't buy Christmas gifts unless it's something they really need or I know they really want. I like get to know the people and I make something that I know that they would like, and sometimes I can make something that's very personal. Apparently there's people that think that handmade gifts are really tacky and they get really mad, and like I would spend months making these gifts and my family wouldn't even text me back and say like thank you. So I only make Christmas gifts to people who I know appreciate it. Yeah, see,
Yeah.
making gifts is the best. Though that apron you bought us, Adam,
That-
perfect. We needed an apron, and I was going to buy one at the last market. And this is no shade to the woman who makes it because it's worth that much, but it was $60 to $120, and I was like,
No.
I cannot afford that right now. Like, your apron is beautiful, and I want to buy it. So, like, perfect. But like for the most part, I make stuff, and so this is a lovely story, and this really catches the sentiment of why I make gifts. Like I have Adam's gifts are the most fun to make. His stuff is so much fun to cross stitch and paint. Like I love watching you paint the girl,
chicken.
Yeah,
this girl with a chicken on her head. Adam, in your shows and lives, you always say something funny, and you always have the weirdest interactions that work out perfectly for making gifts.
The next gift I'm going to give you, though, is going to make you cry. So we figured it out. And so there's actually a handmade Christmas card in the mail for you, Adam.
Yes.
So I talked to the lady. Christmas cards don't require any customs paperwork. So like they're the easiest thing in the world to send. But I can send duty-free one person a gift under $100 per day with no tariff. So now I know for next year. So next year's Christmas present is going to make you cry. So I'm very sorry. It's going to make you cry, but you're going to love it. But I do need a picture of Stormy. I have a picture of Misty. I have a picture of Winnie. So I need a picture of Stormy.
We'll arrange it. Yeah. Adam, we'll do a live with you next month.
Oh my God. I'll need a break for next month. So, but yeah, perfect. Text me a picture of Stormy so I can Oh, I'm so sorry you've been crying.
Oh,
Well, don't be afraid to call us on Facebook whenever you need.
yes. And that goes for everyone out there as well. If you guys need
Yes.
to chat with us,
So because on December 25th, we're going to be hanging around the house. So like if anyone needs a break, message us on Facebook or anything. Because we're just going to hang around the house and be available. We might go for a Christmas walk. Sometimes we go around Swan Lake, but the weather
Christmas
has
is a
been
very emotional time for us too. So
the weather has been so bad. Yeah, holidays are really hard for us because all of our friends are all spread out.
yeah,
And we want to be with you guys for the holidays, but we can't. I'll tell you, Adam, I was talking to April and I had a little bit of a sob because they cut back the flight to the US. And I was like, let me see how much it is to fly into Albuquerque because I don't really want to go to Vegas. I wonder if I can get a plane to Albuquerque really well. It's $3,000 per person for me to fly to Albuquerque right now. So I was like, well, our next trip to the US is going to be a really big one because freaking Nevada is $3,000 per person, not including anything else other than the flight. So I'm definitely
that's
crying.
ridiculous. It'd be better to take like 2 weeks off and drive down.
Yeah. Oh my God, I would love to do a trip. So,
all right.
Yeah.
We should get to
Sidetrack.
the
Yeah.
Sidetrack. It is insanity.
It's very insane, and it's because
that's all because a certain Mango Mussolini wants to play games.
The airlines cut back the American flights because no one's going there, so now it's very expensive. So I was very heartbroken. So I don't know when we're coming back to the States, but we're thinking about a graduation trip. So.
Yes.
Okay, no problem, Adam. Thanks for hanging out with us.
Thanks for hanging out.
The live's going to stay up so that you can listen to the rest of the stories later.
You can listen to the rest later.
Yeah. Okay, so. Yeah.
Thank you, Adam, for coming.
We love you night. Too. Have a good Christmas. Get some rest. Make sure Barney gets some rest.
Yeah. Lays about in your pajamas all day when you can.
So AJ and I are talking about possibly doing a big graduation trip.
Yes. It'll also coincide with her 40th or 41st birthday.
Or 42nd. I'm not sure.
Depending on
I got about a year and a half left of school.
Depending on whether or not she can get in the course.
Yeah, because my course is the busiest, and so when registration opens up, in less than 3 minutes, classes fill up. So if we do a big US trip, I would like to go on Alien Highway going west to east and then maybe going to Georgia, and so we can pop in and say hi to April or something. But
okay,
we'll see. We're saving up.
We'll see what we can do.
But I mean,
well, if it's a 2-year period, we can probably save that.
I'm probably going to be graduating when he who shall not be named will be hopefully leaving office. So hopefully things will get better, but we'll see. Anyways, okay. So this is the Kobold Toy Maker. And this is from Sheboygan County, Wisconsin. Oh my God, I remembered how to say that.
Awesome.
I haven't lived in the Midwest for so long, and I remembered how to say that. I was 8 years old. I was 8 years old when we left Cologne in what is present-day Germany to become Wisconsin. Mein Vater, he came from a noble family and was expected to follow in his father's footsteps. But his father was stern and cruel, and they could never agree. After one particular fierce argument with his parents, Vader sold everything we had, packed up the family, and left on the first boat he could find for America. We had kinfolk in Wisconsin who would help us make a new start. The ocean journey took more than a month. I was seasick at first and homesick for my pretty house and my dolls, But we were no longer a noble family. Mein Vater told me. We were Americans now, and we could not afford to have pretty things until we earned them for ourselves. But my three brothers and I soon made friends with other children on board, and when the weather was fair, we would laugh and play together while our parents visited with other families on deck. Sometimes they would make music and we would all dance. I didn't like the stormy days in the hold of the ship, with everyone packed together like sardines in a tin. And some of the children got sick. Mama kept us away from the sick ones, fearing we would become ill. But my 5-year-old brother got measles. He was the only one of us who had not had them before we left Colne. He died on that voyage, as did 12 other children. It was a very sad beginning to our new life in America. Mein Vater knew precisely what to do when we got to New York, for his cousin had written him a letter telling him how to get to Wisconsin. We hurried past the men trying to sell us things we did not need. Con men, Vader called them, and went to the office of a steamboat to book passage on the Hudson River through the Erie Canal and onto a ship that would take us across the Great Lakes to Milwaukee. The trip took us 10 days. The cousin of mine, Vater, met us in Milwaukee and took us to his farm. The money Vater had made selling our possessions was enough to buy us lands, and we stayed with our cousins while the other German men in our settlement erected a small farmhouse and a barn for us. We loved our new home, my brothers and me. We had lived in the city all our lives, and so life on the farm was very new and very wonderful to us. Most of Vader's money had gone into the purchase of the land and the equipment needed to farm it. We had little left over for the luxuries that we'd left behind, but we took delight in the 2 cows and the hens given us by our cousin, and we explored the woods surrounding our wheat fields when the chores were done. We learned to milk and gather eggs. Mama, who had never worked a day in her life, learned to churn butter and cook and make a garden with the help of her new friends from the Lutheran church in town. Her soft white hands grew brown and callous, but she was still the same sweet mama, and she never complained of her loss of status or of the labor she now endured for the sake of Vader's dream. Vader grew wheat, like our cousin. In the fall, a machine went from farm to farm to help thresh the farmer's wheat. Mama cooked up a great feast for all the men who came to help Vader when it was our turn to use the threshing machine. We'd had enough food for winter and warm, if plain, clothes to wear. But the crop our first year was small. Vader would have to cut down many more trees to have larger wheat fields like those of his cousins. He would cut down the trees during the winter and sell the lumber at the local sawmill, and in spring we would all help root out the stumps to make a new field for Vader's wheat. We settled down for a long, cold winter with much help from the cousins. We really knew so little about living off the land that first year. Mom announced early in November that there would be no presents this year for St. Nicholas Day. Every penny had gone into buying coal and flour and other supplies for the long winter. But she would prepare a big dinner for us to eat and be merry with. And perhaps Vader would earn enough next year for us to exchange gifts. Of the many shocks my brother and I had received during the year of transition to a new life, this was the worst. We had always had elaborate celebrations for St. Nicholas Day back at home. Parades and feasts, visits from Krampus to make sure we had been good children all year, and on the night of December 5th, we would put our shoes by the front door. In the morning, our shoes would be filled with fruits and nuts, and many gifts would surround each one. Most of the gifts were from Mama and Vader, but I had always believed a few were from St. Nicholas himself or one of his kobold toy makers. Mama put on a brave face for us when she talked about St. Nicholas Day, but we knew, my brothers and I, that she was ashamed to be so poor that she had nothing to give her children. Not even a few pennies left over for store-bought candy. The first year on the frontier, she knew none of the little tricks that the other farm wives used to make toys and candy from what little they had. She'd had enough difficulty just learning the things she must in order for us to survive. My brothers then decided to make gifts for one another, and we went searching around the barn and the woods and the house for leftover bits and pieces to use in their construction. During the summer, I had grown out of the last of my pretty clothes from my old life, and they had been packed away at the bottom of my little trunk. I dug out a white linen frock and a thick velvet one and took them up to the garret with my little scissors and my sewing kit to try to come up with something creative to make for my family. As I sat staring at the pretty fabrics, I heard a small tap, tap, tapping sound coming from the far corner. I looked around, and there was a tiny little man in a close fitting brown jacket with a cap, what we called zip, zipfelka pen, zipfelka pen, on top of his tiny head. There was a tassel on the end of it, and the little nose above the long white beard was shiny red at the tip. He sat on a small stool, tapping away at a long leather object he held in his hands. It looked like a new shoe, just the size for Frederick, my eldest brother. The shoes he bought from our old home were too small now, and he had holes in them. I stared at the little man with my mouth hanging open in surprise. It was a kobold toy maker, one of St. Nicholas's helpers. At least, that was the story my nanny had told me back in Cologne. Mind your manners, Madchen, he said gruffly when he noticed me staring. If you are going to share the garret with me, then do so quietly. I have much work to do before the feast. I nodded, unable to speak, and turned my back to sewing. I decided to make handkerchiefs for my brothers and father, fashioned from the too small white linen dress, and a pretty collar for my mother, made from the blue velvet. I set to work, staying near the window to make the most of the winter sunlight. On the other side of the garret, the tap-tapping sound changed. I glanced over and saw that the toy maker was carving something from a slab of wood. It looked like a wind train for my middle brother, Klaus, to play with. When the light faded, I went downstairs to help Mama with supper. I didn't mention the kobold. My parents and Frederick didn't believe in fairy tales. When Klaus and I were doing the dishes, I told him what I had seen in the garret. His eyes popped out in amazement, and when the last dish was dried, we crept upstairs and peeked inside. From the far corner, there came a tap, tap, tapping sound, and we saw the little kobold working by the light of a tiny candle. Nosy children will get coal in their shoes, he snapped without turning his head from his task. Giggling in amazement, we scurried away. Vader and Mama looked up from their reading as we settled down to study near the warm stove. They smiled at our bright faces and listened to us recite our lessons. It was 3 days until St. Nicholas Day, and suddenly, I couldn't wait. I spent every spare minute working on the handkerchiefs and velvet collar, but I didn't return to the garret for fear the kobold would leave without finishing his St. Nicholas Day gifts. I had brought some embroidery thread with me from our old home, and so I made a fancy blue edging for each handkerchief and put my father's initial on one of them and Frederick's and Klaus's initials on the others. Then I sewed up the pretty velvet collar for Mama, and my gifts were done. After Mama and I had finished making bread and puddings and pies for the St. Nicholas feast, and after our parents had gone to bed on December 5th, my brothers and I gathered up all the shoes and put them by the front door. We laid out our presents, telling each other over and over not to peek, and then hurried off to bed. Klaus and I exchanged excited grins as we parted for the night. The next morning, Vader was the first one up. His exclamation of surprise woke everyone in the house, and we all hurried to the front room, wild with excitement. There were Vader's work boots, filled with dried fruit and nuts and candy from the kobold. Beside the boots were several gifts, including my handkerchief, a carved bear from Frederick, a strange contraption that was for cleaning boots from Klaus, and a new leather harness for the horses, which could have only come from the kobold. Vader stared and stared at the new leather harness that he needed so badly, for he had only been able to afford a worn-out second-hand harness when we arrived. Mother's shoes were also filled with good things to eat, and beside them were the velvet collar, a pretty wood carving of a rabbit from Frederick, a strange contraption for cleaning the stove from Klaus, and a pile of beautiful pink lawn fabric from the kobold. Next to the boys' shoes were the handkerchiefs and some strange-looking toys they had invented for themselves. The kobold had left Frederick the new shoes, and Klaus a beautifully carved and painted wooden train with wheels that really moved. By my shoes were a handkerchief box carved by Frederick and a device for storing thread made by Klaus. That was all. No toys from the kobold. The place where my shoes stood looked very bare compared to the rest. Then we heard a thump, thump, thump as heavy footsteps came down from the garret. The kobold came into the front room carrying a huge dollhouse with fancy turrets and many windows and little shingles on the roof. Everyone stared at him in shock, and he trudged over and laid the dollhouse on my feet. For a good matchin' on St. Nicholas Day, he said to me. Then he nodded to my parents, winked at my brothers, and disappeared in a puff of air. My parents exclaimed in surprise and delight, and everyone clustered around, admiring their gifts until Vader shooed us off to do her chores and Mama went to cook her feast. It was the very best St. Nicholas Day we had ever had. In later years, we became prosperous, and the gifts we exchanged were store-bought. We never received kobold gifts again. Just that one special year when we had nothing to give each other but love and the things we could make with our own hands.
Beautiful story.
See,
yes, that's beautiful.
That is how I look at you.
Yeah.
Like you and I, we don't make each other gifts, but that's because we make each other things all the time.
Yeah. We're always
finished my ghost fair painting, and you helped me with my ghost chicken painting. So like, that's why we don't make gifts. But yeah, I like making gifts. I made wasabi 2 years ago, and people barely appreciated it.
Well, the people don't get it. It's society has become so commercial.
Well, and especially like
people
stuff at the store is garbage these days. Like I remember Walmart used to have this display, and they still have the display, and it would be like these stupid like $10-$20 gifts, and then they'd have gimmicky stuff like beer pong or crap, but they would have really useful stuff. Like I brought my brother-in-law a really useful bicycle tool from that, and like now that display
they don't have it anymore.
No, they have it, but it's filled with garbage, like stupid mugs and like stuff you're never gonna use. Like it's all garbage.
Gifts are the stuff that they produce for Christmas are throwaways. It's not like people. That's why people are buying each other phones and useful things like that. But it's still.
I like a lot of older parents are doing Costco runs.
Yes.
And then there's this lady I follow. She makes these HR videos. Her parents got all of their kids this plastic tote and put like stuff like Tylenol and all kinds of stuff in it. And it was like the best gift ever. And I'm like, yes.
Well, you get a bunch of things that are useful. A little knick-knack, a candy, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
That's why we're doing the advent calendars, because you can put all kinds of little
things.
And it makes you think about what you're buying.
I did make you something from the craft store thing.
Awesome.
They're just little tiny things, but I was like, oh, so you're welcome. Yeah, I really like that, and I like that idea of Christmas, and especially where we're all hurting. I like that idea of like, what can I find to make? Like, with embroidery, if you go to your local thrift stores, you can almost always find Aida cloth that's been discarded, and then embroidery thread is still less than $1 in most places. And so like for less than $10, maybe $20, if you have to buy everything new, you can make beautiful gifts. So
today when we were shopping, I bought pie shells, and one pie is going to be ours, and the other one I'm going to make and give to the people at work.
You're so nice.
But what I'm making is what I call 1,000-year-old pie, and it's 1,000-year-old recipe for honey tart that comes from the old uh, the old country. Well, comes from Finland actually. It's in the archives for Norse heritage, and
And their handmade gifts are the best.
handmade candy.
Oh my
That
god.
okay,
I remember I made everyone handmade chocolates one
and
year.
everyone loved it.
Except this one guy who was like, "Can I give you some criticism?" And I looked at him and I was like, I guess." And then he criticized my handmade chocolate. And I was just like, "And you're not getting anything for Christmas next year." And I did not make his Christmas gift next year. I said, AJ, you can make it or he ain't getting one. Because I made handmade chocolates. Instead of, "Thank you, this is great," he was like, "I have some criticisms." I haven't made handmade chocolate since then.
But it's hard to make handmade chocolate,
Oh my god, it was so
especially
expensive. It was so
especially
much work, and they came out so great. And so I was like, "Thank God." And we used ice cube trays, and they made these cute little things. It was so much fun.
it
It
was
was a lot of work,
fun, but
but
it's a lot of work and a lot
no,
of
I
money to get the stuff to
if
do
I
it.
was near Adam, I would totally do it for Adam and Barney. They're pretty much the only people I would do it for.
One day when we have our own place to
Oh, I would.
open to the public,
Oh my god, I would
we
love.
will do
Yeah.
little workshops
Well,
on
and
how to make
maybe
stuff.
even be open on Christmas Eve or Christmas, and just be a hangout and
Yeah,
yeah. So
for people who are by themselves during Christmas, having a hangout where you can go, have a meal, and be with people, even if they're not your family, it's you still have that
yeah,
connection.
I think we've really lost community. I think that's one of the greatest things. Yeah. But anyways, I really like this story because I think it really shows the meaning of Christmas.
It
And
does.
like, she didn't have a lot, but she made these really beautiful gifts. So
Yeah.
I really like that. I really like the idea of kobold, which kobolds are just a kind of fae.
Yeah.
It's just
They're
another.
they're a house fae.
Yeah, they're like a brownie or something. We might have a new fairy. So
Yeah,
I haven't seen our fairy since our cat passed, and our fairy, it really loved our cat. Like AJ would hear it. AJ one time heard the cat went to the bedroom like fascinated and was sitting and watching, and he heard like a tambourine, and then you would see this moth darting around just above the cat, and he would chase and he would run. And I think there's a nice older lady who lives next door, and something was pushing off Merlin from his thing. And one time we had our bed still on the floor, and it was on the floor, and he fell off. And the way he looked at it, I said, AJ, there's something in this house. And I guess the woman had gotten our number from a neighbor and said, there is a brownie in your house. Like she had seen something. And I don't think it was a brownie, because I just don't think brownies would harm an innocent creature.
No.
But it wasn't long after that we had a fairy, and like it very much looked after Merlin. And I think it really loved him. And I think when he passed, it was too upset.
Yeah.
And so every once in a while we maybe think we saw a fairy, but I don't think it hung around very much after that. But AJ's been seeing something different.
A little blue gray furry thing about the size of a cat, but it stands on 2 feet and runs
Maybe it's
around.
Blueberry coming to visit us.
It could be. Donna, she's passed now.
Yeah. She had a cat that was a
named
blue furry thing, and it had that little scrunched up face. She'd come in, meow. And finally one day she came over and was like, can I sit on your lap and get pats? And I was like, absolutely, Blueberry. And then that was it. When she realized I was in the house, it was like, please pet me. And she was very quiet, very calm, just like
she was a dainty little kitty.
Yeah. So who knows? Maybe Blueberry is coming to hang out with us. But anyways, I hope we have a house fairy. So if you're here, house fairy, welcome to our house.
Yes.
So we miss our house fairy. But but I think it was heartbroken like us when we lost our cat.
Yeah.
Especially like before, about a month before he passed, I began hearing popping noises and like creaking noises to the point I was worried about the soil underneath our apartment building. Like I was like, this sounds like like there's some kind of bad settling. Like it was that loud and it was going for months. So I was like, okay, this is not an earthquake. This keeps happening. And then when he passed, it stopped. And so I think maybe like the house fairy knew what was coming and
Was trying to warn us.
and was stressed out, and so we might have a new one.
Yeah.
I love house spirits. I love in is it, I can't remember if it's in Baba Yaga's Book of Witchcraft,
yeah,
or if it was an Ozark folk magic. I can't remember which one it was, but house chicken. I love the idea of a house chicken, a spirit house chicken. So now I'm like on the search for like a 2-foot house chicken statue that I'm just going to tuck somewhere in the corner and just where I can pat it. Cause I was like, I want a spirit house chicken. I need to have a spirit house chicken. I do have a spirit house chicken. I painted a ghost chicken. So yeah. I love the idea of a ghost chicken. Yeah. The next one is really long, but it's Tennessee Mountain folk magic. I was hoping Matthew would be on here, so hopefully he watches this so he can get the it's a mountain folk tale, but my throat's getting sore.
I'm sorry.
You should read it.
I am no good at reading out loud.
Yeah.
I will tell you this right now. I stutter and go on. It's a problem that I'm working on.
You need to see this. This is beautiful artwork of a troll. Ooh, there you go. Beautiful. This is beautiful artwork. Yeah, so it's so tired. I've had a very relaxing few weeks because the way my projects worked, my last project was turned in December 3rd. It was due, but I finished it the Monday before. And I had told my boss that I wasn't done school until the 17th because that's what it said on my syllabus. So I've had these last few weeks free. It's been really nice. I reorganized the library, so all my books are organized, but I'm out of storage.
We really need to have our own.
I cleaned library. The house, so we rearranged the closet, so AJ's a lot happier. And I cleaned the office table, so it's not. We got all the space, and it's all organized. I've been able to chill. I haven't done much art, but I got a lot of other stuff done. It's been real nice. But now, starting Sunday, it's go until the 1st. So
yeah, mad dash to the end of the year.
God. I need the money, but I'm also like, oh. Okay, so this one's a very long one, so I'm definitely going to be pausing more for drinks and stuff, and I apologize, I'm coughing, but my throat's getting dry as I'm reading. It's really warm in the house because it's like miserable out, so that's probably it.
It's been pouring rain for the last 2 weeks.
I have good news for people who live in Vancouver Island. We're getting 4 or 5 hours of sunshine and Christmas. I think it was like 10 to 1 o'clock. It was like sunny with clouds, and I was like, oh! And then immediately it's going to start raining every day again. So get ready, everyone. It was sunny this morning. We went out this morning to go get groceries, but we have to walk. So we got morning sunshine this morning. We got more sunshine coming. Oh, and Sunday is the winter solstice. So everyone in the Pacific Northwest, the day the sunlight's coming back.
Yes.
It's coming back. We're going to see the sun again. It's going to be longer. Everyone rejoice.
Yeah.
God. I was telling AJ how, like, because I had to put on my sunglasses for the first time in like a week. I was like, we're all just coming out of like our little hobbit holes and caves. And we're like, what is that? What is that? Sunshine. Because I mean, it has been raining and nasty every day for over a week. And this morning we had a beautiful pink sunrise, and I was like, oh, here comes a storm. But no, it was sunny. It didn't start raining until much later. So it was like,
But then it downpoured for about
yeah.
an hour.
But we had a pink sunrise and then sun. So, okay.
And we of course, we had a nap during that hour of rain.
Oh, God. I tried to. I could not in my body.
Ugh.
But I rested. So this one is from Chattanooga, Tennessee, but this sounds like it comes from the mountains. This has got folk magic and old world belief, and I just thought this was a lovely representation of the what I call them the hill folk, but the people who are of the places where folk magic is traditionally practiced.
Appalachian Range.
Well, the Ozarks. Yeah, I just thought this was really lovely. So even though it's really long, bear with me. It's just a really nice tale. Her father stopped smiling when Mama died. Anna didn't realize it at first, so caught up was she with her own grief. But it was true. The happy grin he perpetually wore when working the forge or talking with friends or playing games with her was replaced with a grave twitch of the lips in the years following her mother's passing. He was a good father. She loved him as dearly as he loved her, but she missed his happy grin and belly laugh. Anna was almost 11 when a new family arrived in their little town in the foothills. A young widow and her elderly mother came to live with their cousin, who worked at the local sawmill. Rumors said they fled from the old country due to politics. The widow, Sylvia, had hair so fair it was almost white, and her gentle eyes were green. Anna thought she must be a princess escaped from fairyland when she first saw the newcomer. The old woman was as gnarled and wiry as an old willow tree, and had a merry spirit and a sharp tongue that made her a favorite with all the children in town. The same cannot be said of the adults who disliked the newcomers with their foreign accents, strange ways, and odd customs. Her father, hard work at the smithy, barely noted the presence of the newcomers in town, until one morning when he came face to face with Sylvia on the wooden sidewalk in front of the mercantile. He stopped so abruptly that her 11-year-old Anna bumped into him, and he stood with her with mouth agape, unable to speak a word, as Sylvia nodded graciously to him in passing. Anna exchanged glances with Sylvia's mother, who started cackling as soon as she saw the look on the blacksmith's rugged face. The woman passed them in an instant and continued walking down the street. Father turned to look after them, a bemused smile on his face. Anna started to giggle and couldn't stop, especially when her father finally came to his senses and looked away with a blush. Sylvia took Anna to her heart as a daughter when she married Anna's father. She helped her with schoolwork, made lovely dresses for her, and taught her about herbs and wildcrafting. She also encouraged Anna's gift in the dairy. When Anna made cheeses, they tasted better than any other sold in the foothills. Sylvia's mother also took Anna to heart. Anna called her Granny. She told her stories from the old country, tales of elves and trolls, witches and wizards, lords and ladies. And she hinted more than once that the old tales had meaning even here in the new world. She encouraged Anna to leave small gifts out for the spirits that guarded the house, the dairy, and the forge, and to honor those who guarded the forest and hills. But she also warned her against supernatural beings who wished harm to people who lived in the village and towns. Trolls, she muttered once a week when the bread failed to rise, spoons went missing, or someone stole their best laying hen. I don't know the name for them in this place, but in the old country, we call them trolls. You be watchful, my Anna. They like to eat children even more than chickens. Mother, do not frighten my daughter, Sylvia said, patting Anna's shoulder as she sat with her school books at the kitchen table. She is safe in this place. We put every protection around this house. All my children will be safe here. She patted her softly rounded belly with a proud smile, and Anna grinned. Finally, she was going to have a younger sibling to love. That chicken was not safe, muttered Granny, but subsided when Sylvia gave her a stern look. A few days later, a message came from Anna's uncle begging her father to come take over the forge in the mountain village, since a tragic accident had claimed the life of the previous blacksmith. The smithy came with a house, a barn, and several outbuildings. Sorry. My voice is getting drier and drier. Plenty of room for their growing family. Her father had accepted the place immediately. The local villagers continued to treat Sylvia and her mother with coldness, despite her marriage to the local blacksmith. Anna's father wanted to live in a place where the whole family was accepted without remark. So they packed up their household and left within a week of receiving the letter. As soon as Granny saw the crooked stone house that came with the smithy, tucked into the rocky corner of the mountain and backed by an old forest, she started cursing under her breath. Sylvia also stared at the house with a troubled frown. Anna's father, busy tying up the horses to the hitching post, missed the reaction, but Anna did not. Trolls, muttered Granny. This time Sylvia did not contradict her. When Anna's uncle and his wife came to welcome them to their new home, they brought 3 tiny cousins with them. As Anna tumbled about the yard with the children, Sylvia asked about the stone house. Uncle looked uncomfortable, and for good reason. The previous blacksmith had disappeared from the property a few weeks ago, and only a few grisly bits of him had been found, deep in the woods. But there's no need to worry, Anna's uncle hastened to say. The local villagers banded together and put on a hunt. We tracked and killed a large bear that lived near the peak, so everyone is safe now. You are certain it was a bear that killed him? Pressed Granny, eyes narrowed. Uncle shrugged. What else could it be? Anna could tell Sylvia and Granny were not so sure, but they let the matter drop and turned their task to unpacking their wagons. Within the hour, every able-bodied person in the small village was bustling around the property, helping their family move into the house and forge. Anna's small herd of milk cows was led into the pasture beside a decaying old dairy, which the villagers promised to refurbish for her. The dairy building stood several hundred feet below the crooked stone house, not far from the edge of a cliff. The view from the dairy was spectacular, displaying row after row of blue mountains marching off into the distance. And the drop-off made fencing unnecessary on one side of the dairy pasture, which saved the family some money. From the chatter among the villagers assisting with the move-in, it was a toss-up who they were more excited to welcome to the village, the new blacksmith or his cheese-making daughter. Granny cackled at the look on the blacksmith's face when he heard everyone exclaiming over Anna and said, "People who think with their stomachs, oft as not." "I'm proud of our girl," he replied, grinning sheepishly in return. Sylvia imposed one rule upon Anna when they moved in the new home. At the first sign of dusk, Anna was to return to the house where it was safe. There would be no roaming after dark on this mountain. "But they killed the bear," Anna protested. In her home in the foothills, she was used to roaming at will whenever and wherever she chose. But Sylvia was adamant, and Father backed her up, saying, "I do not care if you are grumpy so long as you aren't dead." So that was that. When the renovated dairy was ready for use, the twilight rule that Sylvia imposed was extended to include her work in the dairy. Anna must wrap up her cheese making and be inside the stone house before twilight fell. No lingering outside in the blue hour. No nighttime stargazing. The mountain was a dangerous place at night. Anna was skeptical. What could be so dangerous that she couldn't go out at night? And why only her? Her father took evening strolls to the tavern, and Granny went out after dark to harvest night-blooming mountain herbs. The restriction made no sense, but she abided by it since it brought Sylvia peace of mind. Still, she thought her new mother was overreacting to the death of the previous blacksmith. Hopefully, she would relax after the baby was born and things would go back to normal. A few weeks after it opened the new dairy, Anna traded cheese cultures with the dairyman from the far side of the mountain. Excited by her new acquisition, she spent the whole day making a new cheese from the cultures. It was finicky work, and the process he recommended was just different enough from her usual method that it slowed her down considerably. She did not notice the light waning as she cut the curds repeatedly into smaller squares than normal. She did not notice the unnatural silence that seized the world around the dairy. She ignored the heavy footsteps of something large stalking out of the woods, cruel eyes fixed on the dairy door. Anna was hovering over the pot, waiting anxiously for the curds to settle so she began pressing them when the front door of the dairy banged open and Sylvia swept inside with a lantern. Granny was not far behind, carrying a smoking bundle of herbs in her hands. Anna was startled by the combination of anger and fear in her new mother's face. Sylvia towered elegantly above her, like a fairy queen facing a recalcitrant subject. Anna glanced desperately toward Granny to see if she would intercede for her, but the elderly woman remained on the doorstep, waving her burning herbs in the same ritual motions she'd used when she warded their stone house. Very dry.
Sorry.
A few yards up the hill, Anna glimpsed something large and menacing retreating toward the forest. She gasped, her heart pounding in sudden fear. Her legs folded abruptly, and she fell to the floor. Tiny, pregnant Sylvia lifted Anna and her cheese pot into her arms as if they weighed nothing at all and marched to the dairy door. Anna had just enough presence of mind to grab the cheesecloth and wait as her mother swept past the table. Then the women were running up the hill towards the stone houses as if it was their sole refuge from the monster Anna had glimpsed through the door. Sylvia slammed inside and dropped Anna and her cheese pot into the couch, gasping, "Do not ever disobey me in this matter. I could not bear to lose another." She stopped abruptly, clutching her belly as a sharp contraction caught her mid-sentence. She dropped in the kitchen chair, calling for Granny, who was waving her herbal smudge just outside the front door. Granny trotted inside and realized immediately what was going on. "Finish your cheese and go to bed," Granny said sternly to Anna. "The babe will be here by the morning." Granny guided Sylvia into the room she shared with Anna's father and closed the door, leaving Anna to make her trembling way to the kitchen table with the pot, weights, and cheesecloth. Shaking, unable to process what had just happened, Anna automatically scrubbed the table, washed her hands, and donned a new apron. When she was sure everything was clean, she consolidated the mass of curds into the pot, wrapped the mass in cheesecloth, and began pressing the new cheese to drain the whey. The familiarity of the task calmed her shaking hands and stilled her mind enough to think. Something was stalking their property. Something big and frightening. Anna's legs trembled at the memory. Sylvia and Granny considered the thing to be more of a menace to her than to themselves. Or maybe they thought themselves more capable of fighting it than a young girl. In any case, they had risked themselves to save her this evening, and now Sylvia was having her baby a month early. At the thought, Anna thrust the molded cheese under the pressing weights and ran to the slop bucket to be sick. What if Sylvia died? What if the baby died? It would be her fault for being defiant and staying too long in the dairy. At that moment, her father came early in the door. Anna wiped her mouth, straightened her dress, and went to tell him what happened. She feared what he would say about her disobedience and its dire consequences. To her surprise, father just hugged her fiercely, told her to listen to her mama from now on, and then whispered the reassurances she needed to hear. That mother and baby would be fine, that he loved her very much, that she was more important than a new cheese, and she'd better remember that from now on. After extracting a promise of obedience from her, father sent Anna to bed with a loaf of bread and went to check on his wife. In the morning, Anna had a baby sister to cherish. When Granny placed the child in Anna's arms, she was amazed at how sturdy the tiny girl was. She was as fair as Sylvia, and her ears came to points. Or did they? Granny quickly adjusted the blanket, and when she stepped away, the baby's ears were normal. They named her Rosa, and Anna adored her at once. While Sylvia, weakened from childbirth, lay abed, recovering her strength, Anna carried the baby everywhere with her, to the shops, to gather herbs with Granny, to visit her small cousins, to the dairy to make the new cheese, which had proved so popular she could not keep up with demand. Sylvia laughingly complained that she didn't get to spend enough time with her two girls. I only see you for meals, she teased. Once she recovered, Sylvia started dropping by at the dairy at sunset to help Anna finish her tasks and walk her home. If she went out on a late errand to the village, Granny would accompany her. When Anna watched the small cousins for her uncle and her aunt, her father would stop by to pick her up and drive her home in the wagon. None of them explained why. They didn't need to. Just the thought of the monster she'd seen that night Rosa was born was enough to trigger the nightmares Anna had suffered since her sister's birth. Granny, what was that thing? Anna whispered once when they were alone together in the kitchen preparing dinner. Granny made a gesture to ward off evil and replied, Night troll, and refused to say another word. Winter came early to their mountain village. The first snow fell in October, and by the middle of November, Anna's little cousins could talk about nothing but Christmas. Would they celebrate baby Jesus' birthday? Would St. Nicholas give them presents? Would they have a feast? They made a list of presents they hoped to receive, and Anna memorized it. Their wants were so small. A doll, a sled, a toy soldier, and stockings. They wanted lots and lots of stockings. Sylvia chuckled when she heard their list. We will cover the toys if you will knit the stockings, she said to Anna. We will have the whole family over for Christmas Day to open presents, and then we will feast and feast and feast. Anna laughed and agreed. She went to the village shop to purchase yarn for the stockings. The shopkeeper and his wife were delighted when she told them about her Christmas present for her little cousins, and the shopkeeper promised to buy yarn in many bright colors when they next went to town. Between minding the baby, making cheese, attending school, and knitting stockings, Anna was busy every moment of the day. But it was a happy bustle, and she was pleased with her new life on the mountain, especially now that she knew Sylvia's fears were not misplaced. She did not want her little cousins or Rosa to fall victim to the menacing figure that still stalked her dreams. Ugh. So she watched over the children carefully and made sure everyone was safely inside by dark. To give her aunt time to hand-make Christmas presents for the children, Anna started bringing little cousins back to the house after school. They would have a snack and do their schoolwork around the kitchen table while Granny bustled about preparing herbal remedies or starting dinner preparations. Over milk and cookies, Granny would tell the children stories about the Yule lads who used to visit her village in the old country. I remember those troll lads, Granny said, pouring milk into their cups. The sons of old Gorilla and the giantess and her lazy husband. Those Yule lads were silly pranksters who made mischief for children who weren't well behaved and didn't do their chores. Starting December 12th, you had to be good or the Yule lads would play tricks on you. Meat scraper, sky gobbler, spoon licker, pot scraper, chanted little Carl, holding onto his plate for more cookies. Gollygawk, door slammer, window peeper, sausage swiper, listed Evie, not to be outdone by your younger siblings. Such naughty trolls, Granny said. If you ever come across a troll, don't look at it. Don't invite it in. But they don't live here, little Friedrich said sadly. No trolls come to our village. Anna looked at Granny sharply. Their eyes met for a moment. The Granny calmly misdirected their young audience, saying, No Yule lads here. You will have to make each other behave. Anna laughed and said, Evie can be spoon licker, Carl can be door slammer, and Friedrich can be pot scraper. The three little cousins perked up at this fanciful notion and started listing alternatives. Tree climber, nose picker, cookie swiper. Homegoer, Anna called at last, her side sore from laughing. The day was growing short, and they all needed to be home before dark. She hustled them to their cloaks and walked them to her uncle's house. They were gabbling excited to their mothers about the Yule lads and their new nicknames when Anna turned for home. Granny was still at work in the kitchen when Anna returned. She put on an apron and started chopping vegetables. Once her hands were busy, she asked, "What should you do, Granny, if a troll comes to your home?" In case of emergency, Anna did not want to feel as helpless as she had the night Sylvia rescued her from a troll. "Smudge the air with protective herbs," Granny said, motioning to the bundles drying around them. "If it sings to you, then sing back." She proceeded to give Anna her first lesson on trolls. After that, whenever Anna and Granny were alone, they spoke of troll lore and how to protect yourself from the stone giants who liked human flesh to eat, and sometimes stole children from their beds. Calamity, they say, comes in threes. The first time of trouble once came the week before Christmas when a letter arrived saying her aunt's mother was deathly ill. The letter begged for Anna and Uncle to come at once. So the little ones were bundled up and brought to Anna's house to stay in her care until the parents returned. "Will grandmother die?" little Evie whispered Anna. "I don't know," she said sadly. "Maybe." "Will St. Nicholas know where we've gone?" "Oh, yes," Anna replied more confidently. "I am sure he knows you are staying here. He will leave presents for you on Christmas Eve." Anna picked her up and hugged her tight. Then she sent her to play with her brothers and baby Rosa. It was a full house that evening, and the little cousins got into everything. Sylvia loaded all their Christmas gifts in 2 big baskets and asked Anna to hide them into the dairy until Christmas Eve. "I feel like St. Nicholas in reverse," Anna joked, sneaking out the back door while Granny distracted the little cousins with cookies and another tale of the Yule lads. The children were as good as it was possible to be for active youngsters in the week before Christmas. Anna and her father took them sledding several times on the far side of the village, since the hill behind the home was too dangerous because of the cliff. This gave Sylvia and Granny time to cook and clean and prepare for the holiday feast. 2 days before Christmas, baby Rosa woke in the night with a high fever. None of Granny's remedies could bring it down, so Anna's father loaded Sylvia and the baby into a sleigh and drove down the steep mountain track to the town in the foothills where the doctor lived, leaving the little cousin in Granny and Anna's care. With Christmas Eve came the snow. It started with a few flakes in the morning, but conditions worsened in the afternoon. "I will make the cows and get the Christmas gifts from the dairy before we are snowed in," Anna said to Granny as the short afternoons drew to close. She pulled on her cloak and thrust her feet into the snowshoes to help her stay above the drifts. Just before she went through the door, Granny shoved a parcel into Anna's arms. "You will need this in case the night troll returns," she said grimly. "Twilight comes early during a storm." Anna nodded and hugged the bundle close as she hurried downhill through the heavy, wet snow. The milking was soon done, and Anna settled the cattle in the night before carrying the heavy pails to the dairy. The dairy door was covered with ice and hard to open. Anna had to shove repeatedly before she could get inside. The building itself was frigid. The windows had no glass in them, and the snow had blown right through the gaps in the shutters. Stepping through the drifts on the floor, Anna deposited the last 2 pails of milk and shivered her way into the storeroom where the cheeses were aging. The 2 baskets of presents were right where she'd hidden them. She was bending to pick them up when a happy shout echoed through the main cheese-making room. Anna rolled at her from under snow-laden hoods. "We followed you! We found you!" the little cousins cheered. "We are good little trackers," little Carl boasted. "You are supposed to be up at the house," Anna said. "You know the rule. You need to be home by twilight." "But you went outside," Evie said. "I'm doing farm chores," Anna said, "milking the cows and storing the milk in the dairy." Anna glanced uneasily through the door into the snowstorm. Darkness was falling even faster than the snow. "Wait right here. I need to pick up some cheese for our Christmas feast. Then we will run as fast as we can up the hill to Granny. First one there wins the game." As the little cousins cheered, Anna returned to the storeroom, tossed several cloth-wrapped cheeses onto the baskets of presents, and then hustled the little ones back out the door. Worry made her careless with her steps. Anna shoved the door shut with no thought of the ice beneath her feet and then slipped and toppled down the steps, her ankle twisting badly beneath her. The pain was instant and agonizing. Little cousins were already running up the long slope toward the house, cheering each other on. But Carl and Evie heard Anna's cry of pain and turned around. Seeing her lying on the ground, they ran back to see what was wrong. Anna knew she couldn't walk. Just lying still was agony, but if she stayed where she was, she would freeze to death long before any troll could come for her. She had to move. Evie and Carl helped her sit up, which made her head swim. She swayed and vomited sideways in the snow, trying to avoid the gift baskets that were still looped around her arms. Faintly through the distance, she heard Friedrich shouting happily for Granny to open the door to the stone house, for he had won the race. A moment later, she heard Granny calling anxiously for the other children. Anna knew she should send them home quickly before full dark brought the night troll to their door. But it was too late. Over the anxious questions of her two little cousins, Anna heard the same giant footsteps that she'd ignored the night Sylvia rescued her. Something was coming toward them, shaking the trees at the edge of the forest. Something huge. We must get in the dairy right now, Anna said through chattering teeth. Help me, quickly, cousins. The cousins picked up immediately on her fear. Supporting her on either side, they helped her back up the stairs. Anna leaned against the wall as they forced the ice-laden door open. I gotta adjust. She hobbled through, and her leg gave way. As she fell, she shrieked for the children to close and bar the door. Anna blacked out briefly, but the slamming of the dairy door awakened her. Carl and Evie were struggling with the heavy bar as she sat up, trying to control her stomach. She did not want to vomit again. She tried to think through the agonizing pain. Barring the door was a good start, but that alone would not keep them safe through the long night winter. The window shutters were easily broken by the troll, and winter could freeze them to death if they did not have enough wood to sustain a fire through the night. Anna's thoughts were interrupted by her little cousins who turned to face her after barring the dairy door. St. Nicholas was here, breathed Evie. Anna blinked in surprise. Then she realized that she had dropped the 2 baskets full of Christmas gifts when she blackened out. Their contents had scattered across the floor when she blacked out, and brightly wrapped presents were strewn everywhere. This is a long one, but it's a very nice one. St. Nicholas saw us in the dairy and thought he should deliver his gifts here, agreed Carl. We aren't supposed to see him, so he dropped the presents on the floor when we came back too soon. In spite of their dire situation, Anna had to smile. The children had come up with a much better explanation than any she could have contrived. Still, they had to make themselves secure first, and then she could figure out what to do about the Christmas presents. Anna said, we need to warm up the dairy before we open presents, and we need to wrap my injured ankle. Recalled to their task, the children helped Anna into a chair and followed her instructions, lighting the fire, piling enough wood beside it so Anna could feed it during the night, and wrapping cheesecloth around her ankle as tightly as they could. Then Anna unpacked a bundle of herbs Granny had given her and crumbled some of them over the flames as a smudge to keep the troll at bay. There weren't enough herbs to last the whole night, she realized with a sinking heart, but there was no need to frighten the children, so she said nothing about it. Instead, she made a game of their situation, telling the children they would have a Christmas sleepover in the dairy. She bade them gather the scattered gifts and organize them into piles for each person. Then they pulled out the snacks, and Anna kept one on hand in the dairy and toasted cheese over bread for their dinner while the winter storm raged about them. Then Anna had set up their beds with blankets and old straw from the lean-to attached to the dairy. Anna heard the massive footsteps once again as they made themselves comfortable around the fire. The thuds grew louder, and she knew the troll was walking toward the barn. Evie looked up with a frown. What is that sound, Anna? She asked. Is Granny coming to fetch us? It is just the storm playing with the shutter, Anna fibbed. A blizzard wind obligingly shook the small dairy as if it wanted to confirm her story. Granny is up at the house, watching Frederick. Anna forced herself to speak calmly, though her heart slammed painfully against her ribs. We will see her in the morning when the blizzard stops. To distract them from the troll, she added, I think we should each open one present to celebrate Christmas Eve before we go to sleep." Carl and Evie cheered and forgot all about the loud footsteps which had halted near the window behind Anna's work table. They spent quite some time fingering each present before making their choice. Strangely enough, they both chose the package of stockings Anna had knit for each of them. They each opened their gift and exclaimed excitedly over the brightly colored stockings that toppled forth. The stockings were each tried on, and much hilarity ensued. Carl hopped across the workroom in his red socks, crying, "See my red foot? Hop, 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 hop." Not to be outdone, Evie donned her yellow pair and said, "See my yellow foot dance? Dance, dance, dance." Through the window, a gravelly voice whispered, "See my gray foot dangle, 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 dangle." And Anna gasped with fear, but the laughing children had not heard. She dropped more herbs on the fire and heard the night troll retreat toward the edge of the cliff. When it was gone, she called the children to order and sang them lullabies until they went to sleep. Very long story.
Scary.
It's a really good story, though. At midnight, she was wakened from a doze by a gravelly voice crooning from the window. "There's a pretty little hand, daughter dear, and lullaby." There was enchantment in the song, and it sizzled along Anna's skin, making her hands twitch. She wanted to walk around the work table and open the shutters for the owner of the voice. Remembering Granny's troll lessons, Anna responded, "And filth it has never been found, hell sprite, my carry and hush a baby." So saying, she sprinkled more herbs on the fire. The voice grumbled and backed away from the dairy. At 2 a.m., the gravelly voice came again. "There's a pretty little eye, daughter dear, and lullaby." The enchantment tugged at Anna's heart, bidding her turn around and look into the eyes of the singer. Anna thrust a bunch of herbs under her nose and replied, "Never did it evil spy, hell sprite, my carry and hush a baby." She sprinkled more herbs in the fire, but carefully now, for she was running low. The troll cursed and withdrew to the cliff's edge. At 4 a.m., the troll returned. "There's a pretty little foot, daughter dear, and lullaby." The gravelly voice crooned. The song made Anna's feet twitch. It took all of Anna's waning strength to resist the enchantment bidding her to walk toward the troll. Whispering a prayer, Anna said, "Never did a trample dirt, hell sprite, my carry and hush a baby." Anna only had a handful of herbs left. She sprinkled half on the fire. The voice swore and stepped back, but it did not retreat. Anna hugged her shawl tightly around her, feeling desperate. She must protect her sleeping cousins, but she did not have enough of the smudge left to drive the night troll away from the dairy. Placing another log on the fire, she softly sang Christmas carols to drown out the voice of the night troll. The holy words angered the voice at the window. It muttered and cursed, and finally the troll retreated to the edge of the cliff. Just before dawn, the blizzard ceased. The sky was lighting toward day when the heavy footsteps approached the dairy. Then the voice came once more at the window. "Day begins to dawn, daughter dear, and lullaby." The gravelly voice crooned, and it jerked awake and threw the last herbs in the fire. Sitting up straight, she commanded, "Stand and turn to stone, hell sprite, my carry and hush a baby." Withdrawing a knife from her granny's packet, she threw it at the window. The runes on the blade flashed brightly as it embedded itself into the wooded shutter, barring the window where the night troll crouched. Cursing, the troll backed away from the dairy. Suddenly, the sun crested the eastern horizon, turning the gray dawn into the dazzling whiteness of new fallen snow. The entire world held its breath as sunlight swept over troll, dairy barn, and cow pasture. For a moment, there was no sound save the wind. Then Anna heard Granny's voice bellowing from the house, "Anna! Anna! Anna!" And she knew she was safe. She had triumphed over the night troll. The night after Christmas, the blacksmiths finally reunited around the holiday table to eat their delayed feast. The baby's fever had broken on Christmas Day, and Rosa was recovering quickly. A letter had arrived that morning, Anna's aunt explaining that her mother had turned the corner and was expected to live. And Granny had examined Anna's ankle and declared that it was sprained, not broken, so she too was on the mend. It was a 9-day 9 days wonder in the village when the locals discovered that an enormous rock had suddenly appeared on the edge of the cliff behind the dairy. Where had it come from? There was no rocky outcropping above it to explain its sudden presence, and no avalanche or rockfall disturbed the surrounding hillside. How could such a massive boulder have appeared in such a prominent place with no sign of its passing? Speculation was rampant, yet no one remarked upon the fact that the stone looked exactly like a giant turned to stone. Anna and her family agreed that it was a mystery, but declined further comment. For what else could they say? No one in the village would believe the true story. That was a long one. Tired of telling stories. I don't know how
Do you
people.
know what that reminds me of?
What?
Sasquatch.
I-
It's parts of it were Sasquatch.
Yeah, but Sasquatch has never hurt people. I really
No.
think it's a night troll. Like,
Yeah.
I think we don't hear a lot of those stories. Like, I mean, we do hear stories of people who say that Sasquatch lured them, but they were all on like those
But
TV
they do
shows.
sing to people.
I haven't heard that from anyone reliable. I've only heard it on those kind of TV shows.
Yeah.
But in Tennessee, there's the case of a young boy that disappeared. That a couple up the way saw a hairy man carrying a child away. So, I mean, if Matthew was here, he could tell us more. Matthew lives in
Franklin.
Well, he lives in Franklin, Kentucky, but he grew up in Scotts County, Oneida.
Yeah.
So he knows lots of Tennessee folklore and stuff, and he's the best at telling stories. I love so for me, my family is very like what you think of American suburbs. And when I was growing up, we had to do a genealogy project, and I was like, "What's my heritage?" And my dad would say, "You're American." So I didn't grow up with like a history like that, and so I became obsessed with like bluegrass and like mountain folklore and stuff. And come to find out, I'm come from Protestant family, mostly in Port Washington, which is considered the foothills of the Appalachia. I do have a little bit of Pennsylvania, but it's like they came to Pennsylvania and they were there for a while, but then they all went to Tuscarawas County. It's the county Port Washington is, and there was a I forget what they're called, but a holy person, a pastor, priest, whatever Moravians, what they are called. They created a heaven on earth. And so a lot of Protestants came to that county and built a Protestant haven. So, but was really drawn to it. And then I was playing around with magic for a while. And I was like, I wonder if I should get into folk magic. And we were recovering from COVID. And because the way quarantine works, he had been able to go back work before I was. So I was coming back because we worked graveyard. So I walked in work and the moon was big and right in front of me. And it like was right in front of my path the whole way home. Like I was walking straight to the moon. I was like, well, I think that's a sign. I don't think a sign can get any bigger. So yeah, I'm definitely like, I don't know if any of my family is in Appalachia proper or not, but I was immediately drawn to folklore. I am studying under Brandon Weston, and he's Ozarks folk magic. But I'm totally like, it's moon magic, and I've totally like latched onto it, and I don't have any Ozarks lineage, but it just, and Brandon Weston is one of the most beautiful people you could ever study under. He's like he's kindness incarnate. Just lovely person. So
Ozark Healing Traditions.
Yes, Brandon Weston, check him out. So I'm definitely was drawn to that. I was like, oh, I gotta
yeah, you gotta
tell this story. Yeah.
That those stories are great.
I thought that was
they-
a great story. It
yeah,
was just really lovely. And I like all three of those stories. Like I think they really capture the magic
of the time,
and
yeah, of the
mystery
season.
of the winter time. So I think we've lost a lot of that like traditional folklore of Christmas. And I think like the stupid Santa Claus and Coca-Cola and all that crap, like we've lost the magic and mystery of the winter season.
So, well, telling stories like this, sit by a fire if you have the
Oh
option
my
to do
god!
so,
And yeah,
and
they've
tell
said,
these stories. Find stories that your grandparents wrote down or told you.
yeah. I think I would have loved like a traditional Christmas like that. Ours was very commercial and
It's growing up.
I used to hate Christmas. It was such a bummer.
See, Christmas for me was we would go out for Chinese food on Christmas Eve.
Oh yeah, we
Because
we
that
get
was
oh man,
my
I can't remember the name of the restaurant here and I apologize, but there's a Chinese restaurant that's
Hotong.
is it Hotong?
Hometown.
They're expensive, but their food is good. And so Christmas Eve, we splurge and we get it. Oh, the best. The best.
And then Christmas Day we have our charcuterie.
We have charcuterie because it's just me and AJ. So we have charcuterie. He's gonna make chestnuts and have a pie, and we're gonna get some treats from the bakery at work.
It'll be a feast, even though it's only two of us.
Probably watch stupid YouTube videos.
Yeah. And if any of you are alone and you want to just stop in and chat, just send us a text on Facebook or
yeah.
or
So the Periosortium Discord's the best because that is what I have my alert set up to. So if you're not part of it, just message us and we can get you in.
Yes.
We have Facebook group chat. It's only semi-private. It's just people that we know just to create a safe space. But reach out to us. I'm on Patreon. I don't know if I get alerts through my phone if you chat through there. Instagram, I don't get alerts. So, yeah. Yeah, we're just because it's a hard time.
I'll
especially
post,
these.
I'll post the phone number for the business for Parasortium
On the Patreon.
On the Patreon.
Yeah, don't put it.
It's also on their website.
Oh, so
Parasortium.com.
They want to find it, they can.
There's also my email, so if you want to talk to us, just drop us a line.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, we've kept you guys on here for 2 hours.
My voice is done. So unfortunately, unless Adam and us can arrange something next month with a live stream, there will be no public live streams next month because I have a bit of a hectic school schedule. And so I just kind of need a month to adjust and get into the hang of things and see how bad it is. If it's really stressful, we might have to cut back to maybe like one private Q&A with Patreon and one public live stream just to give me a break. We're going to see. Just because I have worksite visits. And then I also have another cataloging class. And then I have media and libraries, and that has a night class on Monday. So like Monday, Tuesday is going to be real rough. And then I don't know how much work I'm going to have. So I need time to focus on school. If you join the Patreon, we're doing so. Someone had a Patreon question, and unfortunately, the question is based off of someone who was the phenomena wasn't true, but I didn't want them to be discouraged. So,
We're
in
doing a
honor
whole.
of Donna, we're doing an underwater spooky research Q&A. Let me tell you. So yesterday I had to do some shopping, and I came home and I had to make candles, which candles is like hurry up and wait. Like I fill a cheap little pot and put like the candle, like when it won't light anymore, I put on a timer, let it melt. So it's like hurry up and wait. So I just do something that I can. And I was listening to Noah sounds of the Pacific. Let me tell you, it's real creepy at 1x speed. And so I was doing that. And so then I went and got some meds and came back, and then it was cold and I was tired. And so then I just continued to look up real scientific spooky stuff about the ocean, and it was like, yeah, this is super creepy. Like, I found out that the rogue waves of Lake Michigan were actually tsunamis. And there's 100 meto tsunamis in the Great Lakes a year. And they're like, oh, it's only a few centimeters most of the time. But sometimes it can get up to meter. And I was like, no, we have like 20, 30-foot waves on Lake Michigan. I was like, no, they're a lot worse than that. Like,
Yeah.
so anyone living in the Great Lakes, don't worry. It wasn't rogue waves. They're just tsunamis. Apparently the weather causes the tsunami. So like, yeah. So that wasn't even the paranormal stuff. So we're going to have some spooky real science stuff. I'm going to do some water-based folklore. I can't find any like paranormal stuff that isn't like UAP, possibly fake garbage. So I'm not talking about the Bermuda Triangle. I'm not talking about the Devil Triangle. Like, I'm not even sure about that one. So we'll just talk about it's gonna be a lot more folklore. I've tried to look up like scuba divers paranormal experience, but it's not coming up with much. So if you got anything,
I can look up stories about silkies and
yeah, whatever you can
folklore
find. But that is for patrons only. So join the Patreon by Boxing Day by 6 p.m. so you can get the Zoom link, so you can join us. January, there's only going to be a research Q&A thing. I'm not going to have time for any really complicated questions like that. So if you join the Patreon for January's research Q&A, I'm going to keep it to more like what I know. So like if you have any questions, I'll definitely like help you figure out how to find answers to the questions. I'm working so much and then school. So like I just need time to adjust. So hopefully February I'll be feeling better. And we can do some more live streams. But if it's real bad this semester,
I may end up doing live streams.
Just
to give Sarah a break.
Yeah, so we're gonna chill for a month. Let me figure it out, and then February we'll see. Summer I have a condensed course that I'm gonna try to take, but it ends early, so it might be okay. We might just postpone it a few months. It's real hard because working 2 days, then I do lots of research and all kinds of things for Parasortium, and then I have school. So I have like 3 jobs. So
yeah. And I work full time, and I do all of the film editing and filming.
So I'm gonna start DMT and the Spirit Molecule January. So that's our next book club. So do start reading that. I'm gonna aim for June to do the book club. That is a Zoom call, but it's just for editing. It is a public Zoom call, so you can get access to that.
Yes.
The other book clubs, we are editing them and slowly putting them out, but like we're so busy and we don't want the quality suffer, which is why the Parasortium podcast, there's not as much comes out. It's because we want you to still have good quality.
Yeah.
And like some days I just need a day to like make art and decompress because I just get overwhelmed. So if you want all of the episodes as soon as we record them, if you join the Patreon, we just post them without editing and you can get the full thing and you get a lot of stuff that's cut out.
You get extras that get cut out.
Yeah. So join the Patreon. So hopefully I'll see you guys in January. Please send me good vibes. So I don't burn out. Send me all the good vibes. I have lovely teachers. I have a new teacher. So, but all my teachers have been lovely. So, and one of my instructors is the same instructor I've had. So thank God. And she's my work site visit instructor. And she's lived on the island. So she's not going to be like, go over the Malahat. You'll be fine. So that's good. So, is there anything else? Oh, we're going to do, we got to contact Byron Ballard because we're going to talk magical stitches.
Yeah.
We're going to just kind of talk
about the
history of embroidery, talk about how it's been a protest, and then we're kind of going to go over a little bit of magic and stitch magic, and I'm going to teach you how to just get set up embroidery, and it's going to be real simple. I've been studying magic for a while, but I have not been practicing it. So I'm starting to practice what I've been learning. I'm still very new. Because I'm busy, I miss a lot of the like, oh, it's the new moon in this. Make sure you do this. And I miss that. But I've made some moon water, which is great. I've done a little bit of magic, but I'm still so Byron's going to be the experienced one who's like going to give you all the wisdom, and I'm be like, hey, you're just starting out. Here's what you really need to know. So,
all right.
I think that's it.
Yep.
You might be doing something for Black History Month with the creator.
There's a creator. We won't
name it until it's official.
Name her until we have concrete information to give you. But for the entire month, I'm going to try and have episodes on Black history and in particular Canadian Black history.
And that's going to be all him
which is all me.
I'm also like 2/3 away reading through Is a River Alive? If the author, is too busy or doesn't want to do an interview, we're going to do a book talk. I'm going to do book talks. It's they're just going to be books that are hard to find or books that I just think are really important. And I really like Is a River Alive because it is environmentalism, but I think there are points in it that really express the importance of indigenization, which is different than decolonization, because indigenization is bringing the indigenous people into the conversation at the table, part of the decision-making process, working together. Like they call it braiding knowledge, right? Or weaving indigenous knowledge in Western. And I think it's a really good first step to healing the huge cavern we've created between us through stupidity and
racism,
colonization and stuff. And so like it definitely talks about like I apologize, but there's a country in South America where they actually gave rivers it was like a right to not be polluted and like rights similar to people. And then in New Zealand, there's a river that they gave rights that are really important to the Maori people. And so this book is not only just important about what is a river? I think it's an important discussion about the importance of indigenization and allowing indigenous people to be the people who cared for the land. Because remember, the indigenous people, like, one thing I learned about in my geography class, um some of the indigenous people practiced control burns, and that actually helped uh uh diversify the plant life on the plains, and they were actually keeping the prairies like healthy.
Healthy.
And I remember reading about in Australia, they figured out that like a lot of Australia's plant biodiversity is because of the indigenous people there were burning. And so now they're including the indigenous people in the fire management decisions.
I can speak a little more to that because I've read books, and I've talked to Aborigine.
We don't want to get too deep in it because we're just talking.
But they actually engineered
yeah
the foliage.
So
they planted trees. They planted food crops. The entire island is actually that.
Yeah. So we're gonna talk about is the river alive regardless. So I'm gonna read a little bit of that as I read DMT as the spirit and molecule. I've organized my library, which is gonna make it much easier to do books in different categories. So we're not just talking about paranormal, because I think the biggest problem in the paranormal field is people only read books about ghosts. They don't study the history of the land. They don't study the history of the people. They don't look at folklore. They don't look at science. They don't look at like, the more I learn about like science and history and folklore, like I realize like Bigfoot, ghosts, aliens, it's part of the landscape of it is part of the living history. So like if you're interested in all of this, you need to go deeper. So, and not only that, like we need to talk about things. We need to represent 2S LGBTQIA plus history. We need to represent indigenous people. Well, we don't need to represent them. We need to talk about them and make sure they are they have a voice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
because we're not indigenous, so we don't represent them. But
to that extent, I'm trying to reach out to indigenous elders and educators.
Yeah, anybody who wants to come on our podcast and talk about stuff.
If you know someone who might be willing to do that, let us know, because we've hit some walls. I have to reach out again to the Cowichan tribe and see if they're willing to.
Yeah, because it's all volunteer. We don't have money. We can't. Unfortunately, we can't afford to. We want to pay, people speakers fees, but we can't afford it. So
yeah,
it's hard to find people.
We're grassroots, guys.
Yeah, it's hard to find people who are willing to volunteer their time. So we're so grateful to everybody who has done it. You guys are awesome.
Thank you very much.
You helped us get our podcast off, and like the first season was like just hot. It was like everybody, like Einar Selvik, right?
Yeah,
did I say
Einar Selvik.
I mean, like Michelle Belanger.
Irving Finkel.
You guys are awesome. Like
our good friend
Brennan
Store. He was in the second season.
Yeah, thank you. Carbon Brewery, that was awesome. Oh, what's the Solaris? That was awesome. So we're still reaching out to people, but it's really hard. Like now that the world's opened up, people they don't want to do like podcasts and stuff as much anymore.
And our friend Ethan Siegel as well.
Oh, we love Ethan.
Jason Andrews, who did Paranormal Patio.
I definitely want to reach out to Ethan again, because I have some ideas about some paranormal experiences, and it's not that I want to ask him about paranormal. I'm wondering if there are things in science that we know of that affect time.
Well,
because some of the paranormal experiences, and one is in Brendan Storr's book, and I don't know if it was the first edition or second edition, so it might be in the first edition, but I remember him talking about someone coming out of the bathroom of a house and seeing a ghost, and the ghost was looking at them, and they were both equally shocked, like, what are you doing there? And I've heard that story a couple of times. So like I'm wondering, like, you hear about like micro black holes and sometimes they pass through the earth. I wonder if there's something in physics, like if a tiny black hole passes through, like just a tiny one, not really strong enough to really do anything, what if it could warp time enough?
Well, if you look at Persinger's work with plate tectonics and
Yeah, but that was
string
more
theory,
that wasn't time. That was
but
more our perception.
yeah, but if you look at it, it could be there could be physics that explains both, because
No, it's different. One affects the person, one seems to
but
affect the place. Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. So, anyways,
We should let you guys go. It's been 2.5 hours. Sorry
Yeah.
for keeping you on so long.
well, it's because the stories were long, but we're pooped. We're gonna eat junk food, have ice cream, and watch Midsummer Murder, and relax, and go to the
Go
market.
to the market tomorrow, and
I'm really excited. We're not going to the punk rock show because I have to work on Sunday and I need sleep. And but I'm excited for the market. Like, there's a lot of cool vendors. So so we hope you guys have happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
We hope you guys are going to do the 13 rituals, which starts on the 20th or 21st. I'm not sure. Look at your calendar. We hope that whatever you're doing, you're having fun. And just remember, it's not about the commercial gifts. It's about the meaning of the gift. It's about spending time with family, And spending also, time with friends. I just want to say, if you have a toxic family, it's okay not to go to family gatherings. So,
yeah, you can choose who your family is.
Yeah, choose where you want to spend your Christmas. It doesn't make you less of a person choosing somewhere else that makes you happier. Just want to say that. So we need to normalize happiness.
Yes. All right, guys. Thank you for joining us.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.